What up, everybody? Big Bubba Blue back here with another college football prediction, and obviously today we're doing the Texas Longhorns. So I decided to add a few more things to my slides, these high quality slides. So I decided instead of putting like the actual numbers, I just ranked them. I did the talent rankings and the returning production based off of where they're at in their own conference. So in the talent rankings for Texas, I have them second most talented team in the Big 12, but then they have the least amount of returning production in the entire Big 12 from the previous season. Obviously, I put down the last 3 years of their records. I honestly don't know what to think of Texas this year. Is Sarkisian really that much of a better coach than Tom Herman? I mean, Tom Herman was a great offense coordinator for Ohio State when he had all that talent. And the same thing I think is going to happen with Sarkisian coming in. Like he had the best offense, like one of the best offenses of like all time, other than the LSU team. I just don't see much of an improvement coming into Texas, especially in his first year and how much they lost. No Sam Ellinger, even though I wasn't big on Ellinger, still it's kind of a big piece to have. And yeah, so let's get into it. So like last episode, I'll go over the schedule first, and then I'll go over game by game. So Texas starts off against Louisiana, even though they changed it from ULL for some reason. Then they go to Arkansas. Then they have Rice at home. Then they have Texas Tech at home, and then they go to TCU. Actually, these next 5 games might be like one of the toughest 5 games in the entire country. At TCU, home against Oklahoma, home against Oklahoma State, at Baylor, and at or excuse me, at Iowa State. That's hell. How is that not hell? Especially for a first year coach, that's hell. Anyways, and then they finish off the year home against Kansas, at West Virginia, and home against Kansas State. Kansas State's never easy, obviously. But yeah, so first game is home against Louisiana. Everybody's gonna. I'm not gonna say gonna. Everybody's considering this a key game because of Louisiana and how they upset Iowa State last year, and they have the most returning production coming back this year. They're basically gonna be the same team, but I don't know. It's so hard, especially even though it is the first game of the year. It's so hard to ever pick a Group of 5 team to ever upset a Power 5 team, like statistically. And so I'm gonna kind of go against everybody else, and I'm gonna say Texas is gonna win this first game. I don't know what the hell to expect of Texas, but it's always so hard for me, especially first game of the year. Louisiana on the road. It's so hard to just be like, okay, Louisiana, yes, they have the most returning production. Yes, they have probably a better coach. But I don't know. Power 5 against Group of 5, it's just a totally different ball game to me right now. So next they are going to Arkansas against Sam Pittman. I have them beating Arkansas. I know a lot of people say they're gonna split these first two, they're gonna lose these first two, but I just don't. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of fire coming in this season. I think even though Sark's probably not, I wouldn't say he's a worse coach than Sam Pittman, but I wouldn't say he's much a better coach than Sam Pittman. I just think the talent gap is too wide, and I think the athletes of Texas will just flat out beat Arkansas. And I think Sam Pittman just needs a couple more years for them to compete a little harder into the SEC and everybody else. Uh, Rice is a win. It's probably your only like legitimate or not legitimate. Probably your only guaranteed win because the schedule is it's a Big 12. Anything can happen year in and year out. So that's a win. Next is home against Texas Tech. I just, Texas Tech just sucks. I mean, I don't see them getting any better. Yeah, they put up like 60 against Texas last year, but I feel like Texas Tech is getting worse under the new coach. I can't remember his name right now, but I just think they're getting worse and worse. And I just think Texas starting off 3-0. I think the game being at home. I think Sarkisian gets it done. And they start off 4-0 in the year. I just don't see any chance of Texas Tech being able to stay in this game, especially with. Now I don't know if Bowman was starting, but he transferred out and he put up like 5,000 yards there. So I don't know what's really going on, but Texas win that damn game. Okay, so now this is where it starts getting rough, that 5-game stretch. To me, Texas season's going to come down to how good of a coach Sarkisian is. Like I said before, is he really that much of a difference between Tom Herman and Sarkisian? I don't see it. There's nothing to prove. Sarkisian failed at Washington, failed at USC, and didn't he go to the Falcons and fail for a year? But I mean, NFL's a different game. That doesn't really count, you know. And then he lost a national championship with Bama before after Kiffin left. I just think it comes down to coaching. And first year, after how much Texas lost from the previous season, even though they have a lot more talent than everybody else, I think it comes down to coaching. And I think Gary Patterson is on a mission, and Gary Patterson is going to beat you. Excuse me. I think Gary Patterson has a better quarterback. He's a better coach, and I think the defense will just be better. Now, they might not be as talented, but Gary Patterson's a hell of a coach, and he needs a redemption season, or I think he's getting close to probably retiring if he doesn't do so hot this year. So I have you losing to TCU. Next is home against Oklahoma. I just don't see it. Lincoln Riley's too good of a coach. I got Oklahoma rated the number 1 talented team in the Big 12. It's in Dallas. Neutral site. Nah, I gotta stop overthinking most of these games. Oklahoma's on a mission this year, and everybody's picking them to win the national championship. Now, I don't think they will, but I think they're too good to not make it to the Big 12 championship. If Oklahoma doesn't win this game, they probably don't make the Big 12 championship. But that's a different story. And I don't know. Oklahoma's just too much of a better team than you guys. Next is the Oklahoma State game. And again, I think it comes down to coaching. Mike Gundy's a way better coach than you, Sarkisian. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the talent, but I think between Sanders and what's the other guy? I think one of them is just going to be a better quarterback than Thompson. Right? Isn't that the Texas quarterback, Thompson? Again, even though you have that game at home, I just think Mike Gundy's too good in bigger, quote, bigger games. And it's just going to come down to coaching again. It's your first year. Now, maybe in a couple years, who knows? But this first year, I think it's going to just flat out come down to coaching. And so I have you losing. So now you're 4-3, heading on the road against Baylor. And I have you beating Baylor on the road. I don't trust Dave Aranda as a head coach. I trust him as a defensive coordinator. Now, Baylor might have a good defense. Yes, they have a good amount of returning production coming back, a good amount of talent now after Rule left. But I just don't see it. I don't trust in the quarterback that they have. I don't trust in his offensive scheme to put enough points to compete with Texas this year, because Sarkisian's going to put up some points. And next would be the road game against Iowa State. And I have you losing that game. Matt Campbell is the man. He's the biggest name without a top-tier job. He has the most returning production from last year. He has probably the best quarterback in the Big 12, if not second best, other than Spencer Rattler, but that's a debate. Probably got the best running backs. Probably got the best offensive line. He's probably got the best defensive line. You know, Iowa State this team is built to make it to the Big 12 championship and possibly upset Oklahoma. And anything less than a Big 12 championship for Iowa State would be a fail. And Matt Campbell, again, is out coaching Sarkisian. I don't know what's with these Iowa schools, but going to their place, no matter who you are, it's an impossible feat. No matter who you are. It's the craziest thing. And so I have Matt Campbell beating you. Next is Kansas. I mean, Kansas is probably another guaranteed win. Now, Lance Leopold is a better coach, I think, but it's Kansas. There's just nobody there. You know, the whole NIL thing, I don't know if he'll be able to ever get enough, money to fund and get all these kids to come in and play for him. And especially this year after everything that's going down at Kansas, after Les Miles, there's just no way in hell that Kansas beats you. There's just no way. Next is at West Virginia. Now, I could see you losing this game, But I just think the talent gap is too wide. I think Neil Brown's a better coach, but again, the talent gap is just too wide. And Texas goes to West Virginia and wins. Though West Virginia has a lot coming back too, but talent gap too wide. And Kansas State, this I could also see you losing because it's Kansas State, and Kansas State just likes to be big teams out of nowhere. But with it being the end of the year, I think Sark's gonna be a little hot, and just like how you guys started, you're gonna win your last 3 games, and that should bring you to a total of 8-4, but 5-4 in the Big 12. I could see Texas. I think this is the highest Texas could be. Because say you beat TCU, but then I could see you losing to West Virginia or Kansas State or Baylor or Arkansas or Raging Cajuns. I could literally see Texas going anywhere from like 4-8 to 8-4. That's a huge gap. And sorry, Texas fans, but 8-4, 5-4. Hope you guys enjoyed this high quality video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos. I'd like to see what everybody else thinks Texas is going to do down in the comment section. So again, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you.